Okay, thank you for staying with me on the show this morning on ITV. Lovely Monday morning, actually on the last lap of the show. I'd like to thank very especially an erudite academician, a political scientist, public affairs commentator, is also a writer. Neville Obahedo is a lecturer from University of Benin. Neville, thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Neville, how are you enjoying the strike, by the way? Anyway. Okay. The road to 2023, the journey to 2023 election is actually picking momentum. What are the issues defining these elections, Neville?
According to the provisions of the Electoral Act and the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, every 4 years, there shall be a general election where the Nigerian people will elect their president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces, where they will elect state governors and state house of assemblies. They will elect the National Assembly, i.e. the Senate and the House of Rep members. Because of the multi-ethnic nature of the country, and because of the well-entrenched North-South dichotomy, every election period like this, especially when a president is completing 8 years and is from a particular section of the country, the other section will be clamoring for power shift. So in this election, number one issue is power shift between North and South. And that was why the other day, in 2021, about 3 different occasions, certain governors, both of PDP and APC, 17 of them, they had a series of meetings, one at Asaba, one at Ibadan, one at Lagos, where they were talking about the need for power to shift to the southern part of this country, i.e. the office of president. But in the run-up to the primaries based on the INEC timetable, we discovered that out of the 2 major political parties, only the ruling APC narrowly zoned its presidency to the south, while PDP did not. Now, that is an issue. The second issue in this election is the issue of security. We know that all the nooks and crannies of Nigeria, all the states in this country now, they are garrisoned by criminals, criminal elements, bandits, kidnappers, cattle rustlers, all kinds of violent crime perpetrators are in the ungoverned spaces of all the states of Nigeria, Edo State inclusive.
Yeah.
So, in this election, Nigerians want security. They want security of life and property. They want to be able to move from one place to another, whether it's from Abuja to Kaduna, whether it's from Sokoto to Zamfara, whether it's from Benin to Auchi, whether it's from here to Lagos. Anywhere, they need security. And security is an issue in this election. We see that life is becoming unbearable for the common man. In this election, the condition of living, whether it's going to grow worse or better, is an issue in this election. Yet another issue in this election, as we are seeing, is the fact that there seems to be a kind of movement right now where some people are saying that the 2 major political parties should not be reckoned with in this forthcoming election, that there should be a third force. And we are seeing the way they are going about it. So the leadership style of the governing class or the ruling class has become an issue. The way they manage public funds have become an issue. You see the other day the way they conducted their primary, 2 major political parties conducted their primaries, and the money that we are alleged to have exchanged hands. Yeah. So several issues are surrounding this election, and they are topical issues. And that's why when I see people, sometimes you open social media, you want to comment, you see people descending on the personality. For example, those that are in APC, they want to go and identify the the history of the PDP candidate, or those the PDP, they want to go and ratify the history of the APC candidate, they will be destroying, that is, they will be demarketing that candidate.
Yeah.
These are not issues. Base your campaign, whether on social media or on the street,
Yeah.
base them on issues. That is the way they conduct election in America. Even if you go to Kenya, very soon, the Kenyan people will be conducting their election. They base their election on issues. So let's base our campaign on issues. Issues such as, because recently, Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief President Muhammadu Buhari just returned from Rwanda. And talking about security being an issue, condition of living being an issue, the welfare of the people being an issue. In 1994, close to 1 million people were killed in Rwanda because of ethnic politics. Yeah. Just like we are seeing it in Nigeria now. The kind of politics that their elites were playing. Today, Rwanda rose from the ruins of that war to become one of the leading powers, economic bloc of Central Africa. Yeah. And yet it's a landlord country. Yeah. And the whole Commonwealth of Nations, including the head of the Commonwealth, who is the son of Queen Elizabeth, they were all there in Kigali. And I watched some of the proceedings there. Okay. And I saw the way Rwanda has tried to transform the economy from the ruins of the war. This should be a lesson for Nigeria and Nigeria politicians.
But we mustn't go through the route of war. I mean, like Rwanda. Yeah.
Talking about war, no reasonable man, no sensible man who has seen the horrors of war, the carnage of war, that can come out and be campaigning for war. But in recent time, we see videos of elements from various parts of the country. They talk about war, and they don't know anything about war. Because a man may start a war, like the war that a Russian president took to Ukraine, with the mind that in 1 month he will be able to overrun Ukraine. I'm sure he's regretting because of the caliber of officers that make the Russian military tick, that have lost their lives in the course of prosecuting the war in Ukraine. Yeah. That is that. Now, talking about war, Nigeria fought a civil war before, and we expected Nigerian leaders to learn from the war. Sometimes I see former military heads of state and former civilian head of state, who was also a military man, Obasanjo, Yakubu Gowon, Abdusalam Abubakar, Ibrahim Babangida. They will be talking to the youth. They will say, you don't know what happened before during the civil war. You have to guide your utterances and the rest of them. Something is leading to the utterances. What is leading to the utterances? The injustices, the impurity, the politics of exclusion. As elder statesmen, they are supposed to say, let us call for a meeting. Either a meeting of past military head of state, past National Assembly members, just like a kind of conference of those who have occupied positions in Nigeria. Let us chart a way forward. Okay. If they don't want that one, the Constitutional Conference of Olusegun Obasanjo, let them bring the report. Yeah. The one of Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, let them bring the report. And look for aspects of this report that can make Nigeria to live in peace and dwell in prosperity in the midst of plenty. They are not talking about that one. They just say we are addressing the youth. They don't know what happened during the war. They should not take us back to war. There are trappings that are showing that Nigeria is heading towards a war. Nobody is praying for what to happen. But the leaders of this country, they are pretending, or that because they are benefiting from the criminal activities that is going on. Otherwise, they are supposed to put a deliberate machinery in place to rescue Nigeria from collapsing.
Okay. Now, talking about rescuing Nigerians, are you in any way excited about what has been talked about as it relates to the third force as we head towards 2023, particularly the level of participation, mobilization, advocacy on the part of the youths?
Yes, I have been opportunity to watch and see the way the youths have been mobilizing in the name of the third force to try to upstage the two major political parties in the 2023 election. Yes, I quite agree that there's need for a paradigm shift. But before you call for a paradigm shift, there are certain things you need to understand. You need to understand Nigeria. When you understand Nigeria, you understand the various sections of Nigeria and the politics that they play. It is on the basis of that your understanding that you can now launch your third force. Third force. We are talking of Labour Party as a third force to APC and PDP. And we are talking about Peter Obi as the presidential candidate. Based on my understanding of Nigeria politics, you don't win an election, number one, on social media. You don't win an election, number two, on street publicity. You win an election on the basis of structure. Because in an election, there's a difference between popularity and acceptability. Now, the candidate of the third force may be popular among the youth, but the youth are not restricted to a section of the country. The youth cut across the 6 geopolitical zones. And talking about the youth are supposed to have their PVC to cast their vote. The other day, I was opportune to be in Northeast, one of the states in the Northeast. And I discovered that while we are begging people to go and collect their PVCs in this part of Nigeria, the PVCs of various communities in that part of the country, they are in the hands of political leaders and traditional rulers.
Who gives it to them?
Yes.
But INEC has come out to deny some of these things.
It's not a matter of denying. It's a matter of, on election day, when they are going to be showing your television station, and I know yours sincerely will also be talking about Nigeria Decides. I will be watching you. You are going to see children, underage children, 10-year-old children, 8-year-old children, queuing up to vote. If it is true that they were registered by INEC, did INEC also give them that voter's card? When they look at them, you know that this one is a kid.
It's an underage, yeah.
When INEC, you see, people that occupy positions of authority, when they are caught napping and you want to bring it to the fore, to save their heads, they will come out and begin to defend themselves. That is the situation of INEC right now. I will give you an instance. In 2011, when President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan was campaigning to become president, and he was contesting 2011 election, which is his own 4 years after completing the tenure of Yar'Adua. Some students, some of my former students, they called me from Bauchi State, who were serving. They crying, telling me that they were hiding because of the kamikaze that was perpetrated against them. What was the kamikaze about? They were not there when those people registered, but on the day of voting, because of the orientation that they had, they saw little children coming to vote. So, you cannot vote because you are on another age. The community leaders, the politicians that were there at that time,
mobilized against them.
Mobilized against them. They did not make them to be arrested. They did not prevent them from continuing with the voting exercise. They killed them. The records are there because this is a matter that is on the public domain. So when INEC is coming out to say it's a lie, INEC is just embarking on a saving face mission. Otherwise, on election day, very soon, election day next year, you are going to see as they are going to be beaming camera and satellites on people that are voting. You will see some places in different parts of the country, both north and south, where underage children that registered as electorate in the election will be casting their vote.
Okay, let's quickly have this real quick. A major thing that has been playing out now for the two major political parties. It used to be two, but we now have three. But two of those three they're in a dilemma of what to do with their running mates. We heard about those who are there now, they are placeholders. But from the Electoral Act, there's not such thing as placeholdership. What are your thoughts on this? And particularly on how these running mates are supposed to shape the participation in the election for the APC and for the Labour Party?
You see that, as I said earlier, the election is based on popularity and acceptance. Somebody can be popular, but it may not be acceptable. Now, right now, we have two major political parties. Let me first of all take the two major political parties, PDP and APC. When a presidential candidate is coming from the north, for example, in the case of a PDP presidential candidate, he is expected, if he's a wise political tactician, to go to the southern part of the country where we have majority of votes that can complement its own result from its own region to pick as a running mate. In this case, one expects the PDP presidential candidate to pick his running mate from the data available to him, from the area where you have the largest number of votes in an election in the southern part of the country. But he chose to pick a running mate from a minority group, which is Delta State. And if you look at the home base of the vice presidential running mate, you will discover that there are even cracks in his wall between him and his godfather, in quotes, in his own state. Then in his own region, which is the South geopolitical zone, there are cracks, because those that call the shot in that South, they are not in tune with his position. So whether he is holding that position in brief or not is a matter that will be tested in court. If the Electoral Act does not allow you to change, to substitute your running mate, and you have done that, with the mind that INEC will say there is a political party that determines to become the running mate. By the time the matter is taken to court, and the court looks at the provisions of the Electoral and discover that that nullifies the election, it becomes a problem for the two major political parties. Okay. That is the way I see it. Then talking about the APC presidential candidate,
running mate.
Yeah, talking about his running mate. You should know that the president and commander-in-chief, from the information that we got from the public space, and the national chairman of the party, they wanted the Senate president to be the candidate of APC, so that it will be Northeast versus Northeast. But the governors of APC did not yet. They decided that is this man the one they call Jagaban, or there should be primaries. And the primary was conducted. And according to their wish, the Jagaban became the presidential candidate. In that case, the Jagaban should go and hold meeting with these northern governors so that they can agree on one consensus candidate.
Vice presidential
that will represent their own interest in the government of Jagaban if Jagaban becomes the president-elect. So that is that. Again, if the person that he has brought is to be there in the interim, again, we demand that INEC will accept a substitution.
Yeah.
Then the court will also test it, whether it is allowed or not, based on the provision of the electoral. If it is not allowed, then two of them will now actually give way to the third force that have become the movement.
All right, let's just, in one sentence, what's your take on this misgivings about Muslim ticket? That seems to be playing out now, particularly with the APC.
Well, we are talking about Muslim ticket or Christian ticket. As I said earlier, we need to understand Nigeria politics. Christians are liberals. They can accept Muslim ticket. For the first time in the history of military government, when Muhammadu Buhari was military head of state, he took a fellow Muslim, Tunde Diagmo, to be his vice. All other military government did not do it. Nigerians accepted. During the 1993 presidential election, when MK Abiola became the presidential candidate of SDP, he looked around, looking for a popular and acceptable candidate to the Northern oligarchy at that time. And he picked Baba Gana Kigibe, who was acceptable to them. Muslim ticket. Nigerians accepted. They needed democracy. But if it were to be the other way around, will Muslims accept Christian ticket? The answer is no. They will never accept. But Christians will accept. Because Christians believe that a president should perform the function of president. He's not going to be there to represent his religion. That's what the belief of Christians. But the Muslim believe, and if you look at the Quran very critically, there are sections of the Quran that point to the fact that in an area that is dominated by Muslims, somebody who is not a Muslim should not preside over the affairs of that area.
And that becomes a challenge.
Yeah, that becomes a challenge. So Muslim ticket, if they are going there to go and perform the function of their office in the interest of all Nigeria without making religion to be the ET, because Nigeria is already charged right now. We have seen series of people be killed because of blasphemy and the rest of them. If Muslims are president and vice president, will the situation degenerate more than what it is? Or are they going to ensure that there is equity, justice, and fairness, and that those who perpetrate crime in the name of religion are severely dealt with according to rule?
Big questions begging for answers.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Neville Obagedo. You just bring it up in a very special way. It's the TMI Beautiful Monday Morning. I want to say big thanks to Neville Obagedo, a political scientist from the University of Benin. Solomon, I know, will be here shortly with Breakfast Sports, and then we'll cap up the program before we set the stage for Business Rendezvous at exactly 9 o'clock. Stay with us.